Blake lively claimed this recording made her fear for her life, that it was the reason she and Ryan stopped showing up to red carpets, the reason they allegedly had to beef up security, the reason she filed for punitive damages and tripled attorney's fees, the reason we were all supposed to take her lawsuit seriously. And now the judge says we get to hear it. Not a transcript, not a quote on paper with dramatic ellipses. The actual audio, the tone, the pacing, the part where the voice cracks or doesn't. The part her team insisted needed to stay sealed for privacy reasons. And suddenly, the only person who seems terrified is her. This isn't a leak. This isn't stolen discovery. This is her own exhibit. Her own team filed it, quoted it, and used it to claim she was in danger. And the second the court said, "Okay, let's let the public hear it," her lawyers started scrambling like someone handed them a mic that was still hot. According to filings, the person who recorded the tape is a woman. She captured a conversation with Steve Sarowitz, the billionaire co-owner of Wayfarer. And based on what's publicly available, it appears he didn't know he was being recorded. This allegedly happened in California, where that kind of secret taping could be illegal. But instead of excluding it, Blake's team filed it as part of her damages claim. They didn't want the whole thing played, just snippets, select quotes, edited lines, conveniently dropped into her filings with zero context. Then they told the court that the rest of the recording shouldn't be released because the declarant, aka the woman who did the recording, wanted to remain anonymous. She used the tape to build the narrative and then asked the court not to let anyone else hear it. She made it the centerpiece and then taped the gallery shut. If that recording was as damning as she implied, she wouldn't be hiding it. She'd be previewing it on Instagram stories. She'd be linking to it in her publicist's press blast with timestamps and a dramatic title like, "This is why we're afraid." But now that it's unsealed, her team suddenly wants the whole thing to go away. She's not acting like someone who dropped a bomb. She's acting like someone who dropped a prop and hoped no one noticed. Let's break this down. Steve Sarowitz didn't move to seal the tape. His legal team wanted it public. He said, "Sure, play the whole thing," which is not what you do if you're secretly threatening someone's life. That's what you do if you're tired of being misquoted by someone who thinks 3 ellipses and a filing fee equal a conviction. So why didn't Blake want it unsealed? Maybe because the threat doesn't actually sound like a threat. Maybe because the person recording it steered the conversation. Maybe because the quotes she used only sound scary when they're cropped, bolded, and followed by 3 paragraphs of emotional framing. According to public court records, the judge found that the public's right to hear the full recording outweighed the arguments for keeping it sealed. He rejected the idea that privacy or protecting the declarant was enough. He said this was evidence that needed to be evaluated in context. Translation: if you're going to use it as a weapon, don't act shocked when people want to see if it's real. And now that we're about to hear it, Blake can't do anything but brace for impact. Because if it turns out the full tape is just a private vent session, no threat, no violence, no actual intention to cause harm, then the foundation of her fear narrative collapses. And if the declarant was someone close to her, or someone instructed to get Sarowitz to open up, or worse, someone manipulating the conversation, it's going to make this entire lawsuit smell like strategy, not survival. And yeah, all of that's hypothetical, but the fact that her team didn't want it unsealed makes it feel very real. That's the problem with basing your damages on a recording. Eventually, someone's going to press play. Blake doesn't get to say, "I'm scared," and then black out the part that explains why. She doesn't get to say, "This tape proves everything," and then ask the court to treat it like a state secret. She doesn't get to use the legal system as a stage and then scream "invasion of privacy" when the audience asks to hear the lines she skipped. She built the moment. She filed the tape. She made it evidence. She asked for money based on it, and now that it's going public, she wants to act like it was never supposed to be heard. Girl, please. You can't tell the court your Exhibit A is proof of danger and then go full ghost when they say, "Let's listen." And let's not ignore the role of the woman who recorded it. If she was aligned with Blake in any way, personally, professionally, legally, then this isn't a whistleblower moment. It's a setup. It's bait. It's catching a billionaire in a moment of frustration and turning that into a narrative you can file in court, just sanitized and sliced for maximum impact. If that's what happened, then this whole thing isn't about harassment. It's about editing. And even if it's not illegal, it's shady. Filing half a tape and trying to suppress the rest is like pulling the fire alarm and hiding the extinguisher. It tells you who's in control of the story and who's terrified of losing it. Blake Lively built this lawsuit on emotional escalation. Not just defamation, not just reputational harm. She added fear. She told the court she was in physical danger, that she and Ryan were at risk, that there was a threat severe enough to justify staying home, hiring security, and dodging cameras. She told the judge this wasn't just about bad PR, it was about their lives. And now we get to hear what started it all. If that tape doesn't deliver, and let's be honest, it probably won't, then what happens next won't be a lawsuit. It'll be a punchline. But here's the twist no one's talking about. What if the tape was never meant to be played? What if the goal was never to win on content, but to win on implication? What if the entire strategy was to submit it just long enough to make headlines, then seal it before anyone could challenge the context? She counted on it staying secret, on the court protecting the mystery, on everyone assuming it must be bad because why else would she be so scared? But when the other side asked for the full audio to be unsealed and the court agreed, the illusion shattered. Because the tape was never the proof. It was the prop. It was there to distract, to dominate the conversation, to inject fear into a story that wasn't hitting hard enough. And maybe, just maybe, that's been her play the entire time. Not to prove harm, to create suspense, to keep people watching, to keep the spotlight aimed somewhere, anywhere besides the credibility collapse happening in real time. Because while everyone's busy waiting to hear what Sarowitz said, no one's asking why Blake's team needed this recording in the first place. What did it cover up? What did it push off the front page? What else was happening in the case that she didn't want people focused on? This isn't just about sealing audio, it's about steering attention. And that strategy only works when you're the one holding the remote. But now, the court pressed play. And when that audio drops, it's not going to feel like a bombshell. It's going to feel like a documentary on what happens when you bet everything on fear and lose the moment people stop being afraid. She said it was dangerous. It better be. Because if it's not, the only thing on that tape that sounds threatening is the sound of her case falling apart.